Hello everyone. Today we're going to have a look at the economic expansion of the Roman Empire. We've seen on the map earlier how massive the Roman Empire was. We can see it once again. Just have a look on the map. You can locate the Mediterranean Sea. You know, the Roman Empire was north and south and even east of the Mediterranean Sea. And if it's so widespread and massive, apart from getting a lot of taxes and having a lot of diversity, a lot of cultural diversity, one thing that's going to be possible is there's going to be a lot of trade going on between these different regions. And this trade is going to be aided by the Mediterranean Sea itself. Remember, at that time, there were no railways, no airplanes. There were either roadways, so travel by land, or waterways. Now, traveling by water was faster. It was also cheaper. And we will now go on to read how there were a lot of ports on the Mediterranean shore, which were extremely important for facilitating trade in the Roman Empire. Economic expansion. The Roman Empire had an adequate infrastructure of harbours, mines, quarries, brickyards, olive oil factories, etc. So a lot of things were included in the infrastructure. There were harbours. A harbour is a port where ships come. Mines are when you're taking out minerals from the earth. Where there are quarries, there were brickyards for making bricks, and there were also olive oil factories. Wheat, wine, and olive oil came from Spain, from the Gallic provinces, which are France and Belgium, North Africa, Egypt, and Italy. Let's have a look at Spain, Gallic provinces, North Africa, Egypt, and Italy. Please have a look at the western portion of the Mediterranean Sea. You will see Spain. Move north, you will see France. So France was called Gaul at that time, and slightly above France is Belgium, but so that region's Gaul. Then we can see Africa written on the continent, so Northern Africa. And if you move a little on the eastern side of Africa, you will notice Egypt. Again, please locate the places: Spain, France, Northern Africa, and Egypt. These were the places that wine, wheat, olive oil was coming from. Clay content and matching clay pits help archaeologists identify containers which transported liquids like oil and wine as amphorae. So we have evidences of clay pits, matching pots, certain jars, which tells us that these were containers used for transporting liquids like oil and wine. Remember, there will be special jars for transporting liquids because otherwise liquid can spill. Spanish olive oil captured the market. So please, again on the map, notice where Spain is. Spanish olive oil was very famous. It still is, even today. Aegean, southern Asia Minor, Turkey, Syria, and Palestine were called Asia Minor, became exporters of wine and olive oil in later 5th, 6th century. Now on this map, if you have a look at the eastern portion of the Mediterranean Sea, that portion which says Lebanon, Israel, and move a little further, you can't see the whole of Syria, but you can see SY written. So that's Syria. You can also see AS, which means that's the beginning of Asia. This was called Asia Minor. So that is from where wine and olive oil came from. The fertile areas were Campania and Sicily in Italy, Fayum in Egypt, Byzantium in Tunisia, southern Gaul, which is France, and Baetica, which is southern Spain. So those were the fertile areas, which is Italy, Egypt, Tunisia, southern France, southern Spain. Please try and locate on the map the fertile regions: southern France, southern Spain, Tunisia is in Africa, Egypt, The best wines came from Campania, Sicily, and Byzantium. So Campania and Sicily and Italy, and Byzantium is in Tunisia. So let's notice where Tunisia is in Africa, northern Africa. And Italy, of course, we know because that's where the capital of the Roman Empire was. So this is from where the best of the wines came. So all the regions traded amongst themselves. The Roman Empire controlled very good areas or lands. So we've already seen that because there's such active trade happening in so many agricultural products. Thus, we know that the Roman Empire controlled very good lands, fertile lands. But most of the expanses had transhumance, which were eventually displaced in North Africa. However, remember the Roman Empire was depending heavily on agriculture or the settled growing of plants. So nomadic tribes, the transhumanes, they were often displaced because remember nomadic tribes move from place to place. They are herders. So if all the land has been overtaken by settled communities, then where are these herders going to go? So they started getting displaced. So that was one problem. Where did most of the transhumans live? They lived in oval-shaped huts, oven-shaped huts called mapalia. This is what a mapalia looked like. Northern Spain also had peasantry that lived in hilltop villages. These hilltop villages were called castella. This ancient world had backward, primitive cultural economic life when compared to the advances of the 19th century. Definitely. Today we're living in 2020, right? But if I ask you to look at what the world was like 100 years back, well, there's going to be a lot of differences, definitely a lot of technological differences, so you're going to be like, oh, 100 years back was quite primitive. However, so it's the same here also, right? They're comparing European history to the 19th century when the Industrial Revolution started compared to this ancient world of Rome. So that way there's a lot of difference because 19th century had the best of technologies coming up, new inventions, whereas we do not see all that in the Roman Empire because it's much, much older. But we see well-developed technologies used for mining, water power, well-organized commercial and banking networks. However, it's not really, just because it's old, it's not as primitive we think it to be. Roman Empire expanded to great heights. It did very well. It prospered. So it means that they had different types of technologies but which really helped them, and they used it for everything from mining to water power to harvesting the water of the energy of the water like we do today, and proper banking networks. That is how trade was facilitated very smoothly. Also, notice that if they are doing so many activities, it means that they require labor to do it, okay, which means they also had very well organized institutions to control labor. So it was a very thought out and a planned empire. Thank you.